Hello everyone, this is Caillou, once again joined by Bradley Rose, and we're going to be talking about Day 4 of Moxtober, which is a month-long event in which there are 31 prompts, one for each day of October, and on the corresponding day, you design a card based on that prompt. And so far we've got a lot of participants, a consistent, I think 40 plus people chiming in with their own designs each day. So
Wow.
today's prompt was Smog. So what do you think of when you think smog?
Smog, I think of the Pokemon.
Oh my God, my first thought was like coughing. And so I was like, I want to make a coughing design, but someone else in the format had made one recently, and I felt like that would like influence how I would design it. But yeah, it's funny that we both like landed on
Yes.
Pokemon for that one.
You have to make sure you're designing in other spaces because you're a design hipster, right?
See, I would like to say that, but as we're gonna see, I think my design for today came into what lots of people were thinking of when they were thinking of smog, and that's actually a surprising number of people came up with an artifact token that deals you damage. Um, it was kind of a consistent theme throughout what everyone was doing. So I'm going to pull up one card with it, which is Dreary Dream Drifter. It's a powerful undercosted beater that also has inbuilt protection. 6/6 flyer for 2 UB, and spells that you cast on it, you have to pay an extra 3 life and 3 mana. That's really powerful. But it comes with the drawback of you create 3 toxin tokens, which are black enchantments with at the beginning of your end step you lose 1 life, and 2 destroy this permanent, which is very similar to the totem tokens we saw 2 days back that Mark Confidant made.
Yeah, I was surprised that there were so many designs that had a similar tendency to create tokens that cause loss of life. It made me think. I was thinking, I was like, wow, there's so many of them that it made me think, hey, maybe it was a generally accepted in the custom magic community that this is a direction that needed to eventually be designed towards in a future set, and now this is married with that. It just blew my mind how there was a lot of the same kind of idea.
Yeah, and it's like it's not even from the same community, which is something that I would like understand at least. It's from all walks of custom magic. They had similar ideas. So I think like we've had like mechanical resonance before, but not to this degree, and that's super cool.
Yeah, parallel design happening outside of Wizards.
So if I remember right, another design which had this type of token was, where are you? Sorry, I just forgot the name.
Ashma. Sorry.
No, yeah, that totally was it. It was ashma.
All right.
So, Ashma Tyrant, which is 2 red for a dragon. So 4/4 flyer ain't bad, but whenever it enters play or attacks, each player creates a blight token. So they're enchantments, so they're basically very similar to the toxins, except instead of on your upkeep, they deal damage to you on your end step, and instead of destroying, you pay to exile them. So they do deal damage to you, but your opponent has to deal with them faster. And when you're playing a 4/4 with flying, you're probably on the beatdown anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that this goes off of entering the battlefield because if you want to be really efficient, you're going to play this, you're going to curve it out, you're going to have no mana left, you're going to at least take one hit of life. So you are paying a little bit at least for your 4/4 dragon that's efficient, and then you'll have the mana freed up on the next turn if you want to get rid of some blight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like compared to the toxins, I like that it exiled so that you can't get if there's like I don't know some enchantment death trigger whenever you sacrifice a permanent type synergies, you don't
Oh,
get to benefit that way. Like
yeah.
what's the card? Is Mayhem Devil the one that's in current standard that does that? I think so.
I used to. War of the Spark, Mayhem Devil.
Mm-hmm.
Did care about sacrificing permanents. Yeah,
Yeah, I keep forgetting War just rotated out. Um,
yeah. We gotta get used to the Zendikar rising into our standard.
mm-hmm. I wish I could segue with that into a Zendikar design, but unfortunately, I don't think Smog evoked much Zendikar, because now on Zendikar it's bright, it's clear, the only thing in the sky are hedrons, but they've always been there, so don't mind those.
Yeah, yeah. Instead, we got to find a rogue or a cleric
Hmm.
or a warrior.
Or a cannon plane like New Phyrexia. We got there. So
There you
there's Smog of New Phyrexia. It's a world enchantment, which is that's a throwback. Um, the beginning of each player's upkeep, they put a smog counter on a land, and if all lands in the battlefield have smog counters on them, you sacrifice it and destroy all lands. And lands with smog counters on them are swamps. So it's very powerful because you can start like just turning off your opponent's lands and eventually just Armageddon if you need to. But if you don't want to, you can just use it as a one-sided blood moon, just a slow one.
go. I like the idea that contaminate a swamp, and it's not just wasting a land. You're not like raising the land and clearing it of everything. You actually are imbuing it with the essence.
Yeah, it's a super cool idea. Um, there's a mechanic which uses it as a cost called corrupt in a cube environment that Pipsqueak, a member of the community, worked on. But there are also cards which care about the number of swamps you have, so you can like use the cost to actually turn all your lands into swamps, and then just have this mono black swamp fiesta. But yeah, I think two cards that caught my eye, other than this, were Smog and Smog, and both of these caught my eye because they're both named just for the prompt. They're both black and a green instants. They both prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. They also give all creatures that attack this turn -1/-1. They're just different costs and they're designed by completely different people. I don't know if this is referencing something, but like I'm looking at these designs and I'm like, man, they're uncannily similar. Like we were mentioning this earlier, but yeah, I think this is the prompt which so far has had the most people on the same track of mind.
Hi, yeah. There's some cutting out going on, but I've caught so far what you said about smog and smog both kind of doing the same thing, and then you were saying I mentioned this earlier, and then I didn't hear anything after that.
Oh, okay. So I was just saying that like we mentioned earlier that like this is the prompt which has kind of had the most people on the same page, but this is on like another level entirely.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The idea of doing fog, but toxic fog, but and then expressing that with, oh, you attacked into it and you get a -1 minus. Yeah, it's very close.
Oh, actually, I didn't even pick up on the. Oh yeah, because preventing combat damage. That's a fog effect. Yeah.
Yeah, fog into smog makes me want to tinge fog with other words. If you made a green red or white green, not sure what other words we air like. That is also, I guess, haze, but it doesn't rhyme.
I think we're out. We'd probably be out of like rhyming, but like I could see like acid rain or something,
Oh
like
yeah.
a like something that maybe specifically reduced power, and then I don't know. I think that one would have to probably be like blue white to get something done there that's like interesting beyond just being a fog. But yeah. So what card do you want to talk about next?
Let's talk about corrosive smog. So this one is two black black sorcery rare. All creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn. Creatures with flying instead get -13/-13 until end of turn. So this is cool. That like polluted air is bad for everybody. You know, we've had that in from California fires and Oregon fires. It gets everywhere, but smoke tends to rise up to the top, and that's where the flying creatures are, and they get hit the most. And I thought that was very flavorful.
They have a tragic slip out of heaven.
Ah, there you go. Wow, that's true. I didn't even pick up on maybe it was a tragedy of slipping down.
Hmm. Yeah, like I think we've been talking about how like different prompts tend to be like heavily coded in different colors. This is definitely the day of like black removal in some form.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the flavor beat on this is really nice, and also like a simple functional card too, which like I think conveying flavor through something simple is chef's kiss.
Yeah. So another flavor hit for me that did not dip into black is Inspector's Cigar. And this one is a pay 0 for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature has vigilance. When a equipped creature dies, you transform Inspector's Cigar. On the back, you got Artifact Clue. It's Smoldering Cigar. You can sacrifice Smoldering Cigar to draw a card.
I don't think it's a stretch to say this is my favorite of the designs that I saw today. It's just, yeah, like the flavor is just off the charts, and I love the idea of like it almost actually feels like a Castmeyer card to me. Is that just me? Like the smoldering cigar left
No,
behind.
that's not just you. Yeah. I was just talking with Tim, who's the lead on Castmeyer, about this card in particular. I was like, this feels very, very flavorful. Because the detective inspector has got the cigar, and it has an equip cost, so you can imagine they can pass the cigar to someone else if they want. Say, here, have a smoke. But you know that whoever has the cigar, if you see it on the floor, you know that, oh no, they're dead. It's a clue that they're dead, and I thought that was cool.
And not only is the cigar like left alone, it's still smoldering, which means that they were just
Uh,
picked off. So you're looking around like, what's going on? Like it's
yeah,
that sense of
it does
tension.
get more.
So yeah, this was like a slam dunk for me. Um,
Hmm.
some
Smoldering. I wonder if there could be a cycle of clues where, like, there's still ice in the cup of something that's left out. You're like, oh no, this is recent as well. Like a bunch of equipment or clue type of things.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what that would be like. Just like common items. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the fireplace still going. Nah, it's kind of the same fire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cold things. Ice cream is melted.
Yeah, I think it might for that it might be worth to think because if it's going to be the same mechanically, just like what keywords what each color has, what each of them is flavorfully, and then kind of just go from there. Like
Mm,
like if green is going to be trample, the actually I don't know. God, this is harder than I thought it was. Yeah, okay. So even I'm
that's
having even more
an
respect for this design.
exercise for. Yeah.
Um, so speaking of cards, which basically I think I have a lot of respect for, but I've been talking about Cajun's Mox designs day in day out, and they never fail to amaze me in how he continues to make Moxen that actually feel like they might be reasonable. Actually, so Mox Smog, it's Mox Jet, but it taxes all of your spells by one more. Suddenly, this thing might be like taxing you for more mana than it's adding. Is it really worth it? And I love that like idea, and like it plays into the idea that I think lots of people had here with cost. Smog is something that weighs you down and has a drawback. So yeah,
Yeah, very, very simple and clever for that. It makes me want to go, okay, all right, so maybe I can do an activated abilities deck. Haha, I've gotten around it. But
Kenrith, here I
very good.
come.
It's hard to break this, so I think that's a good sign. It feels like it. It feels hard. There could be some.
And I think that like that's kind of where you want to be with Moxen design, where it's like it's gonna be hard to not break this, but if it's not breakable on first blush, then you've done something good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another card that might be safe, I think, is Smug Covenant. It's a two black green enchantment, uncommon. Creatures you control with power 2 or less have infect. So infect can get pretty wild if you just go, okay, this thing has +3/+3. Now all of a sudden, okay, they're dead. They didn't expect to get that close to 10 counters, but that's the natural direction you want to go. You want to have that hexproof creature or something, and then make it really big. But this thing says, no, no. Like once you get too big, you don't have infect anymore. But you do get infect if you're small, and so you have that direction now. You go, oh, okay. I think the move here is I have to go wide, and I like that it's a different direction. It forces you.
Yeah, and I like the flavor here. Just the elites watched as the canker smog took the meek. Then the meek consumed the world. It's like, what is the canker smog? That is capitalized. It's obviously a thing. So,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
Those
don't.
kind of call outs are. Oh, sorry, we broke up yeah, a little bit. Continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say, mechanically though, I don't know how this works with layers because I have this vague thing in the back of my mind that like is like maybe this doesn't work with layers, so I'd have to see.
Yeah, yeah, it's worth double checking.
But yeah, sorry, continue what you were saying earlier.
Oh yeah, I think it adds to the magic when you have those capitalized type of things, kinker, smog. You don't know what it means. All the way back to like alpha when you go, what does Sarah Angel? What is a Shivan? And it's not just a dragon. So seeing this, you go, it adds to what feels like the magic. It's like kink. Okay, I'm in a world now. There's a kinker smog. Start imagining from there.
There's a history to it. Like yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Um, Speaking of history, I think throwing it back to Phyrexia, we've got Yawgmoth's Smog Moth. Again, say that 10 times quick. It's 2 and a black for a Phyrexian creature insect. Whenever it attacks, non-Phyrexian creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. So, obviously, there's no Phyrexian in the type line for most Phyrexian creatures, so this is Silverboard to just say, you know what a Phyrexian creature is. Like, it's not something that the game rules being this robot thing knows, but we are humans with heuristics, so we can pick out what it is.
Yeah, that's cool to do because you do want to go and care about all the different molds for has taken place over. They look a lot different now in New X than before. But you can make
Mm-hmm. And I think it's getting about to that time of the show where we talk about our own designs. So, do you want to start us off?
oh yeah. Okay, so mine was oh yeah, that's right. Okay, let's choking no coughing. Oh sorry, yeah. Coughing and wheezing. A single black for an instant. And target creature gets +1/+1 and gain smoky until end of turn. And the reminder text for that is it deals damage to players in the form of smog counters. At the beginning of their upkeep, they lose 1 life for each smog counter they have, then remove a smog counter. So I haven't played Slay the Spire, but I've been informed by now that this is the poison mechanic from Slay the Spire. So that's cool. I've accidentally designed a mechanic that like that, but although there was yet another person that said this is kind of similar to some other games as well. But
Ah,
I haven't.
yes. Today's day 4 keyword convergent.
Yes, a big theme. Uh, I've only been used to. I haven't. I've only been used to poison and other matters. Obviously, magic has a different matter. Different way of doing poison. Pokemon's poison is just you get it, and it's every between Z turns you get damaged until you retreat. But
It's always slow acting poison. I,
yeah, is there fast acting poison?
probably
Doesn't
in
have
like
to
probably in
be.
like D&D. But then even then I
Yeah.
think it's just I think it comes back around to it's not good game design to have binary states of like you lose or you win or lose. So yeah, having that time to have counterplay is what really makes stuff like poison interesting.
Like it starts getting into okay, what's the difference between I got stabbed with the knife versus the fast acting poison? Get into that, but it would be cool if there was a game design system or game system that does make that matter.
I think
And
like
you
roguelikes are probably the best place. Coming back to Slay the Spire, ironically, which we've just discussed, doesn't use fast acting poison, but um,
yeah,
like games where death is a natural expectation and the replayability is the point. Yeah, there's definitely something out there like that. I'm just not well versed enough in like the current like game landscape to point to it off the top of my head.
yeah. And you point and you mentioned D&D. Like I know that there's a bunch of different RPG systems that do care about whether you have poison resistance, for example. So that will help against poison, but not stabs with the sword
Oh yeah, for sure.
or fire.
Mhm. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my design now, which actually, after looking at your smog counter mechanic, kind of wish that this one uses that as well. But it's Robert Corporate Consultant. 1 black mana for a legendary creature human advisor. At the beginning of your upkeep, you reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Then you create X pollution tokens, where X is the converted mana cost of the revealed card. And what are pollution tokens? Well, they're basically what we saw earlier with Blight. They're artifacts with at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and pay 2 to destroy this. Um, so first things first, pollution counter or pollution tokens come from Umera, which is a set by Harry Z on the custom Magic server. Go check it out. It's an amazing set. It's based around solar punk and this idea of how humans like need for constant like financial or like economic progress is hurting this idyllic world that has been built up. It's super cool thematically, explore space that I think like MTG tropes or MTG fiction hasn't yet. So yeah. As for this card, yeah, I think one thing that lots of people have pointed out is that if you have like it's a very feast or famine card where if you have some way to make to get rid of the pollution tokens, then it's just more powerful Bob. If you don't, this just kills you dead very quickly. Which is why I think thinking about it now, the smog counters would have been better for the same flavor. But overall, I love the idea of it. I like the idea of like making a more on the face of it a more pushed version of a card that already exists. I love the flavor of it. I love being able to just put Robert and profit at any cost. I feel like and like it feels weird, but like it feels like the pieces of this kind of just came together really nicely out of nowhere. Like I almost feel like I can't take credit for it because I was just like I thought of this, I thought of this, I thought of this, and they just kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, I think this is my favorite of the designs that I've done so far for Moxtober. Just as a package, it's a card that I feel kind of proud of. I would put it up on my shelf.
Well, I love it too. It's the art of someone who looks not so threatening visually, but they are doing a lot of nasty stuff to the environment, I guess, with their corporate decision. It really sets that menacing, like that low key menace. I guess I also like that light there. But anyway, so the art really brings it together. The Bob reference, very like nice throwback to a beloved card. I think I like Robert actually even more confident. I know. Don't tell Mark confident. Yeah, this is just great. Like I don't know. Like I like there's Fibble Thip, and then I think there's Robert. Robert, the kind of
The homunculus pantheon.
uh just like the for not I don't think Robert would be a good plush, but I guess there's
Just like
memes.
just an action figure.
There you go.
There,
Robert
he
the
has the
action
slap
figure.
you with
Sith,
legal.
Sith. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, nice Robert.
Good Robert. Stay Robert.
You get a bonus.
Okay, I think I have a few more cards before wrapping this up. So, do you want to like mention yours first, and then we can like alternate from here?
Sure. So we got Cueva, the Eternal Ash, legendary creature, elemental phoenix. Pay 2 and a blue and a red for a 3/3 flying haste. The beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast a sorcery spell and an elemental spell this turn, you may return Cueva from your graveyard to the battlefield. So another cool commander design. Last time I was impressed by a fairy that did negative as a build around. This time I'm like, oh, really excited. I have to include a balance of sorceries to keep bringing this phoenix back.
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting like batching because I think elementals typically are kind of like prowessy, blitzy creatures, so you can definitely see that in here. Um, I could even see this like outside of Commander. You could like it's cheap enough that I think you could probably see it in some well, not current standard, but in some standard format where um, you care about elementals and casting like maybe there's like some sorcery speed burn or something. Just having this hasty, evasive, recursive threat. What's not to love about that?
There's also a little thing here that made me smile. I don't think this is quite the form uh, that I would want, but I want a commander that is in exactly blue red that does care about elementals and reward and actually the execution would be boosting your elementals. Usually there's the +1/+1 but and then some relevant ability, but I want it to be someone that is a master those four elements, the water and air. It rewards you for just playing all of those. I just want a deck full of elemental.
Oh, that would be really cool. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of ways you could do that. Like, you could have it like each color represents, so that like among like permanents, colors among permanents you control, or if you want something more explosive, maybe among spells you've cast this turn or something, or like every time you cast a spell of a color, you can just put a you get a you can put a counter on that commander. But yeah, that sounds super cool. Like, unfortunately, our current avatar is Omnath, so we're probably gonna need to wait a while to get another 4 color card. But for sure, or like even but I think a 5 color one could also work. But yeah. Um, so this was actually going to be the first. This is going to be my first card that I discussed. So um, the next one I had on my list was Slag Heap Smokestack. This was the featured card on MTG.design, which shout out to MTG.design. If you make a
Ooh.
design there, um, Ancestral is going to be going through all of the designs of made for Moxtober in that day, and we'll be featuring the best ones on the front page of the website. So go check it out. So yeah, this was today's featured card, and it's a structure which essentially turns a land you control into some kind of engine. Here, it's whenever you draw a card, you mill a card, and you can exile a card from your graveyard, add black. Each player loses 1 life. So you're still adding mana, but you get some little bonuses along the way. So I like the idea of this. I think um, it's just like it's a very flavorful, fun way of doing this thing of like developing your land so you can get use of it, but at what cost?
Yeah, that's I like the that feel of taking over the land, the natural.
Okay, what's your next card?
All right. Choking Smog. 2 and a black for sorcery. Each opponent discards a card and loses 1 life. If you're productive, those players discard 2 cards and lose 2 life. Reminder text. You're productive if you've played a land, tapped a creature, and activated an ability of an artifact this turn. That's a very flavorful grouping of things. It does tend to be the case with a game of Magic, and in a turn you got a lot of things going on, and I like the activated ability of an artifact can feel kind of random, whereas the other two are more common. But I think it ties into the whole industrialization bit if you added the activate.
Oh yeah, I think flavorfully this is like a slam dunk. I particularly like tapped a creature because I think it encourages like in environments with this, it encourages you to be proactive and attack sometimes even when you might lose or make trades because then you can get value off of your productive cards. I do think that like uh, I don't know how much I vibe with the last one being specifically artifact because I think it might be difficult to consistent or like I don't know. I might be misevaluating this, but it feels like it could potentially be hard to like proc. Maybe just like activate an ability of a non-creature, non-land permanent. But I guess because that'll
I
because in constructed that lets you use planeswalkers. You can if you have an enchantment with an A activated ability, you could use it. It gives you a little bit more flexibility.
You mentioned Planeswalker. It would be cool. Whatever set this a very polluting. They just about productive. Although I guess oh yeah, choke. That would be cool to pair with productive. I think yeah, you're right. In most environment, it would be very hard to do. I think the key might be to create an environment that has the token and food to make sure you can consistently. And maybe they have a new token
It
that
could be the pollution, I guess, but it doesn't make sense for you because the pollution tokens you're supposed to be sacking them to make the pollution go away. So it doesn't make sense for you to for
right the
this
exact execution of those. Yeah, but there's if you create tokens that do tap and do something, I think that might help you with your cause with.
for sure. Like I think I would want to see a set with the set that this is in because I think it could be a cool environment. Also, before we move on, that flavor text I love it. Less lined with silver than laced with lead. Yeah, those clouds are gonna be. I was mentioning acid rain earlier, for sure, on
Yeah.
the hapless city. Okay, and I think this is my last card for the day. It's going to be. Oh wait, never mind. I have two, but my second to last one is going to be uh, Cloak of Smog. It's blue and a black for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+2, gains hexproof, and can't be blocked. You lose 2 life. So you get to turn yourself into this kind of like ethereal form. But unlike turning yourself into a cloud or a mist or whatever, there is a drawback. So you are gonna slowly like kill yourself each time you turn into this form. So I like the flavor of that. And mechanically, it's a solid combat trick.
That's that difference, like fog by fog, and you can't see you're using poison.
Yeah, all of this is making me really want like an urban fantasy set, honestly.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII type of stuff.
Yeah, or like even more like modern day, like because I think that's a little bit more futuristic, or not futuristic.
Oh yeah, it's very it's beyond modern. That's right.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
but like just kind of like casual, like yeah, there's magic and witches, but we also have industrialization and stuff. That would be cool.
yeah.
Okay. Um, do you have another one, or can I move to my last card?
I got one last one.
Let's do it.
It's pushed progress. Pay a red for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this, discard a card, draw two cards. And it's got this ability that is italicized ability word, pollution. The ability is pay 2, exile pushed progress from its owner's graveyard. It deals 2 damage to its owner. Only opponents may activate this ability and only during their turn. So this is an efficient thrill of possibility, or I guess sorcery version. Tormenting voice, yeah, it's a cheaper tormenting voice, but you're at a cost of hurting yourself, which comes around eventually.
And I think this probably plays better than a Ristic because, unlike Ristic, which requires you to keep up mana, here it's basically just giving your opponent card advantage. So, and yeah, and as long as like the pollution effects are varied, like they're not just like
Good
damage
point.
based, you could do a lot there. So, I think the problem is like inherently like drawback mechanics end
Oh
up being
yeah, that's a
feel
good
bad,
point.
but or like they end up being what do you call it? Or like if they can sometimes be like because they're deliberately pushed, they can sometimes be broken in a deck where the drawback doesn't matter. But I think that like develop if this is well developed, I mean, sky's the limit. It seems like a cool and flavorful thing.
Yep. All right, what you got?
Okay, and my last one is here we go. It's Smog City Meeting. 1 and a white for you scry one. Then each player may manifest the top card of their library. If they do, you put a -1/-1 counter on it. Or, I guess, on them. And I love, like, the flavor description that Ian gave for this. You can meet anyone in the big city, but you also get lung disease. Just, I also love, I think, again, like we mentioned how this was, like, a very, like, mechanically black uh, day. So I think having a white design in there was like in that one that felt like flavorfully relevant was pretty cool to me.
Yeah. So this, I'm not sure if we've seen Scry plus Manifest. Maybe. If not, then kudos.
Also, this did remind, or if you have anything else to say, uh,
No.
this reminded me. I actually wanted to feature Ian's other design as well before we go, which is Tugboat.
Mm.
It's a vehicle which is for two, and whenever it attacks another target vehicle you control gains indestructible against until end of turn. Yeah,
That's great.
it's simple and flavorful. I'm a fan. But yeah, I think with that, we can wrap up this episode of Moxtober Wrap Up. As always, if you want to be featured in a future episode, post on Reddit, Twitter, or on any of the custom Magic Discords with hashtag Moxtober or MTG Moxtober. I'll have a link in the description where you can find the MSC set files for the today's cards and also all cards from the previous prompts. And the prompt for today, October 6th, which is when this video is going to release, is definitely didn't forget to look this up before and have to
Actually,
search it up right
I can
now.
mention now, though, I would discourage hashtag Moxtober. I never look there because that's where the wrestling WWE tags are.
Oh yeah, on Twitter, yeah, use MTG Moxtober, and yes, I think it should be fine on like Discord and Reddit since those are like specific communities. But yeah, good point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it would be easier to find. It's harder to find. You can tag it if you want, but on Twitter, it's harder to find with the Mox.
Mm-hmm. And the time for that comment conveniently gave me the time to find tomorrow's prompt, which is Lance. Stab us with those designs, and until tomorrow, this is Caillou and Bradley signing off.